Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to Good Morning Let's Basketball. This is episode 29, the season finale, as we gear up to start the 2023-2024 NBA season. We want to say it's been a huge growing process for us. We want to thank you all for continuing to take the time to watch us every day, no matter morning or night. And we want to say just thank you for continuing to view our reels and our videos that we've been posting and interacting with us on social media. We also are going to quick plug our Apple and Spotify podcasts. We'd appreciate if you do prefer to listen on those to give us a good rating over there, interact, and leave some comments. And before we get into today's topic, we're going to talk about today's sponsor, which is Raid Shadow Legends, one of the biggest mobile role-playing games of 2023, and it's totally free. Currently, almost 10 million users have joined Raid over the last 6 months, and it's one of the most impressive games in its class with detailed models, environments, and smooth 60 frames per second animations. All the champions in the game can be customized with unique gear and change your strategic buffs and abilities. All right, Kev, let's go ahead and get into our first topic.
Yama. So, like Miles said, the very next week, the NBA season will start. Personally, I think one of the most exciting competitive NBA seasons are upon us, not only because our teams and stars are a lot more spread out, but we also have the in-season tournament this year, which I'm really excited to see. But we first want to start this episode talking about the preseason. I don't know how many people watch preseason like that. I've been keeping up with it a little bit, but there has been a lot of players in my mind that have really caught my eye. First off is Wemby. This guy's going to have eyes on him all season. It was like that in the summer league. It was like that in the preseason. It's going to be like that all throughout the season for as long as this guy's walking this fucking earth. But, his first game, I believe they played the Oklahoma City Thunder. They played very well. He looked pretty comfortable out there. He's moving well. Yeah, as long as this guy can stay on the court, I think he'll find a lot of success this season, to be honest. The main thing I noticed, though, with his first two games in the preseason was kind of like his physical ability in the paint. Summer League, I didn't want to say he was looking a little timid, but it was a lot different of a game than he was used to. But in the preseason, I noticed him being a lot more aggressive and really using his length and the sneaky strength that he actually has to finish. And I don't know if y'all saw that one layup that he had on Chet where he went up and then brought it all the way down and scooped it. First off, the fact that he can do that is just bizarre. Like, no one that damn big and long should be able to do that. But seeing him succeed in preseason really makes me excited to watch him this upcoming NBA season. But he will have a run for his money with Rookie of the Year with Scoot and Chet, I do believe.
I think he
What are your
did
guys' thoughts with Wemby so far, though?
I was gonna say, I think he put on 20 pounds since the rookie summer league and to
Yep.
preseason. I think he put on that weight. And like watching him play, I caught a little bit of that Heat game when they played. And dude, it just seemed like he was everywhere with like how tall he is and like his like wingspan is just insane. Like it almost seemed like he was that Fantastic Four or Mr. Fantastic from Fantastic Four. Like he was everywhere.
He
Just
can
getting
literally
it.
rip you being 3 feet away from you, I feel like. Like that
Yeah.
one steal that he
That
had where
clip
he
was
like reached into the paint
crazy.
and then he got a dunk. Like that's insane, bro. He can rip you from like literally being 3 feet away from you. Like that's just
Oh,
absurd.
what about the lob he caught from like the second hash mark from the free throw line? Did you see that where they tossed him the
Yeah.
lob and he caught it from like in the middle of the paint?
Yeah, that was crazy, bro. Like we're gonna see a lot of those like lob plays for sure with him. And the dude can jump. I think he can do a between the legs dunk too, which again is just absurd that he can do the shit like that.
Is that really impressive
No.
For
at
someone that's
7'4"?
at 7'4", yes. What other 7'4" guy have you seen that can do that? Every other person that's been 7'4", they play like they're wearing Timbs.
No, that's true.
Like
That's a
Yeah.
good point. Maybe
it's
Jackson Hayes. I've seen Jackson Hayes do it.
but he's not 7'4".
Okay, yeah. I
Dude,
mean, who do we have at 7'4"? We got Yao
dude,
Ming, Bol, and George Merson. Those are like the
Sean
big three.
Sean Bradley.
Oh fuck.
No,
Sean Bradley was up there.
Miles, I kind of had this conversation with Kevin like a few days ago where I was saying like it's not saying like is it difficult for a player this size to do something like that? Like obviously yes, there's a lot of things that go into that. But to me, like if I'm Wemby, how hard is the things that he's doing on the court? And I do feel like it's kind of not that hard, but it's still impressive to people like us. Maybe it is hard. Maybe it is being hard being 7'4" and being able to look down into the hoop from what it seems like.
Dude,
But did you see that other play where like he like sized up, put the ball between his legs, and then shot a pull-up midi?
Bro, I
Like,
watched
yeah,
that
that was
live.
nasty.
Yeah.
Jaw
like
drop.
come on, bro. Like
That
come
was
on.
That's
crazy.
that is crazy.
It's fucking insane. Like I'm so excited for the season to start just to see this dude play. Like it's gonna be great.
Dude, that
seemed-
in and out cross at 7'4" is just crazy, bro.
And it was so fluid. It didn't look cheesy. He didn't stutter. He didn't trip over his own feet. It looked like, now call me crazy, but it looked like KD making that move damn near. Like
Well,
I feel like that's not that crazy to say, but
No,
he's trying to
had-
model his game after KD, he said.
yeah, you
I
can
don't-
definitely see he has some influence of KD in his game and the way he like does like his dribble pull-ups and stuff, which, you know, rightfully so.
I hope he dunks it a little more than KD though. Like I know KD likes to stay in the mid range. He's lethal
Yeah.
from there, but like you are 7'4". Like you better get your ass in the post sometimes. And it better not be
Oh,
all
yeah.
fadeaways. If it's
Nah,
all
it
fadeaways,
definitely
I'm gonna be
won't
pissed.
I think it definitely won't be. That's just going to come with time and just getting his body right and bigger. So that's probably something we'll see later in his career, I believe. 2-3 years, we'll probably see him post up a little bit more.
Yeah.
I believe these early years should be focusing on like his skills, like shooting, dribbling, and kind of just getting used to his body out there on the court.
That's a
Um,
fair
Yeah,
point.
I don't know when you guys were watching him, but it felt like he was like way too tall than like 7'4". It feels like he has to be at least a little bit taller. And it seemed like he was playing on like a little Tykes hoop. They might need to raise the rims for him.
Hey, I'm a huge advocate of the NBA raising rims. I'm glad you said that. Off topic, but I think the rims, like there's no reason that 6'9", 6'10" NBA players who also have bounce should be playing on the same rim I played on when I was in 7th grade. Like that's just crazy. Like why
Yeah,
aren't the
but
rims
like
raised?
But like the rim's always been at 10 feet, bro. That would just be such like a different adjustment. Like
Bro, but now we got
just keep
people
it, you
pulling
know.
up from 40 feet, bro. Like maybe now's the time to keep them
I
from
say-
doing that shit.
I say they add a 4-point line before they raise the rim. That's just me,
Really?
though.
I'll say
Yeah.
this. I'll say this because I think it does kind of correlate a little bit. In comparison from like basketball to soccer, for example, I remember when I was around like 13 or 14, we started playing on like the bigger fields, or maybe it was even younger than that. And the entire like basically like goal just got a hell of a lot bigger. So did the field. And then it stays at that for forever. Same way as like you said, like when you know the hoop does. What changes is okay, what type of goalkeeper am I going against that can cover that much distance at all times, and what kind of defense am I going up against to make a shot like that? So I think it's not so much. That's why I don't think that they should change it, especially because in today's like NBA, defense is so strategic and so like well organized. I feel like it would just make it infinitely more hard to like score points. I mean, right now we don't see players breaking like, or teams breaking like 120 or 130 ever, really. You know, you see it happen occasionally for sure, but like not on
Yes,
a
we
regular
do.
basis at all. Most games end up being like 93, 94, 93, 95.
Oh, bro.
No?
In-
Okay,
in
what?
2000
Yo,
in
All right, listen.
yo.
2006.
Okay.
Bro,
What is
you
the
talking about?
what is
They're
the
like
average now then?
110. They're like
Dan-
110.
Yeah.
Okay,
Daniel's on-
so a 10-point disparity. That can
Daniel's
change
on-
like any
That's
time.
20-point disparity.
Daniel's on season 50
still
of the
110,
NBA.
right?
He hasn't caught up to season 78
Yeah,
yet.
it's like, yeah, it's more like...
He's catching up.
No,
Y'all hear about that new
Bro's
guy?
been watching every NBA game since the
Yeah.
60s. It's
Yeah,
like, what
he's on-
season are y'all on? What season?
Bro's dude's on season 55. He just got introduced to Hakeem Olajuwon. You
No,
fuck.
bro just saw Bob Cousy get drafted, bro.
No,
Holy shit.
but I think you guys kind of get where I'm trying to go with this, which is just that I think if changing the hoop height would benefit some players like Wemby and other guys, but to those smaller point guards and to the guys that, like you said, don't have as much bounce or that, you know, are post players, I feel like that would kill a big part of the game. And I don't really want to see that either.
No, yeah, you made a great point. I probably wouldn't want to raise the hoops either. And I think a lot of people do tend to forget that like as you go up in your like basketball career, it gets the level. There's levels to it. So like high school is a completely different level, college is a completely different level, and so is the NBA. It just gets faster and faster. So you just have to have that skill if you want to play in the NBA. And I think raising the rims isn't the move.
All right, I'm gonna propose a quick poll. Just raise your hand. You don't have to say anything. Just raise your hand if you agree with this. There should be shot clocks in high school.
Oh yeah,
There
100%.
isn't?
Yeah.
100%.
I didn't know that.
Okay.
There's
I
no
just wanted
shot
to-
clock?
I wanted to know your guys' opinion on that. There is in some states, I believe California has it,
Yeah.
because I know Bronny and like Sierra Canyon have shot clocks, but
It's like
definitely
35
not
seconds or something like that.
where we're from. Definitely no shot clocks.
No shot clocks in Indiana. There was not to get off topic or anything, but I was in a tournament once in high school, and we had overtime. And how long were overtimes? 3 minutes, 4 minutes
I think
in high
I
school?
think it's half of like, so 8 minutes,
yeah,
so 4.
I think it was 4. Yeah.
Yeah, they were 4 minutes long. They won the jump ball, and they held the ball for 4 minutes at half court, and they shot it with 5 seconds left. They held the ball
Yeah.
for 4 minutes.
At half
Our coach-
court?
Yes, our coach instructed us not to foul. So I stood on the block for 4 minutes during a basketball game, running the whole time.
That's
I couldn't
ass.
fucking believe it. So that's why a shot clock should get added.
I know we had
But
where we had a game end 18-16 as a regional tournament game for ball holding. That's crazy.
Well,
I know
like,
a game you're talking about too.
That's
Kevin-
with Sasha too.
Uh-huh.
Stefanovic.
Yep.
you brought up a good point. Like, I feel like that's so counterintuitive. Like, if because you guys obviously have like fouls and bonuses, right, in high school basketball. Yes.
Yep.
Well, I feel like if you're in a position where time's running out and your team is in foul trouble, third, fourth quarter, whatever it is, and you're not wanting them to get to the line, but you can't do anything other than basically just play on them the whole time. And like you said, if they hold it, that just seems stupid. I don't understand why the hell
it
that was
is.
ever a rule.
It is stupid. It's so bad.
I went to like
But-
one high school game. That's why I have no fucking idea.
How come you never forced a 5-second violation? Did you guys not try that? I think that's
Like
why that rule
our-
exists.
Our coach instructed us to lay it back and wait at the time. So
What's the 5 second?
If you're pressuring someone defensively, I don't know the exact rule, but basically if you're pressuring someone defensively for 5 seconds and they can't like move,
Yeah.
it's like basically if you get clamped for 5 seconds, then it's a turnover. It's like a very complicated rule. I don't know the specifics, but that's basically what it is.
I can just imagine though, like from the moment that dude stops and like clenches, that's when they're gonna start counting, and that's
Yeah.
like so hard to like
90% of the time, that's
one,
the scenario.
2,
Yeah.
3. Like that's a long time.
You can get it dribbling though. I think it's like there's a certain measurement past half court that like it'll start, but like it's complicated. Anyway, let's bring it back. Have y'all
Yeah.
watched
So-
any Suns preseason games yet?
I have not, but I seen a clip and it looks like they're having D-Book run the point, which I expected. But that's really all the knowledge I have on the Phoenix Suns so far. I mean, if you go back and watch previous episodes, you guys already know my opinions on the Suns and what I expect from them this season. But I seen people say, like, imagine having your third best perimeter defender on Bradley Beal when he scored 30 points per game, multiple seasons, whatever the fuck bullshit.
He literally
stuff
scored
they were spewing.
23 last year. Like, I don't understand. He's not that
Yeah.
lethal anymore.
Yeah, and he was on the Wizards his whole life.
Exactly.
So-
Without John Wall.
Without
that's-
John Wall.
That's crazy. Like,
Motherfucker should average 50.
obviously. That's facts.
But another player that I really wanted to talk about, who I hope takes on a very big role this year for the Golden State Warriors, was Jonathan Kuminga. He is actually leading all NBA players in preseason scoring this year at 26 points per game. Now,
Damn.
it is preseason. We know that. But, this is where shit starts.
Hey, not
So,
all-
and I vote.
I was gonna say, not only is he shooting, like, or he has that many points, he's shooting very effectively too.
From 3
He is,
too. He's hitting.
He's hey, they don't call him the cum bucket for no reason, but he's a player that like I've always really wanted to see get more minutes, just because I knew who he was when he was a prospect and going into the G League, and he's a giant. Like if you actually look, I always forget how big this guy actually is. I don't know exactly what his height and weight are, but he looks very big, like out there on the court. He can shoot.
Every
He's a great scorer. He can D up. So I think the Warriors should definitely utilize him a little bit more. And they used a pretty high draft pick on him too. So I would definitely like to see him get in there a little bit more for the Warriors. And I think they could use him this year.
every off season he actually grows like 3 or 4 inches. I don't know if you guys see those memes every fucking every NBA off season, Jonathan Kuminga like has another growth spurt.
They low key got my ass. I'm not gonna lie, because when I read it, it didn't look like a meme. Like it looked like a very official like fucking report. I read an article. They were like they like somebody took time out of their day to make sure that like some dumbass like believed it for at least a second, and it was like Jonathan Kuminga has gained an extra 5 inches over the summer, and I'm like, that's ridiculous. Like
Bro got juked by cum sports, bro.
no, literally. What's that one, Victor?
Ball sack sports.
Ball sack
sports.
Yeah. I get notifications from them all the time. Kyrie Irving to the Warriors, ball sack fucking sports, and I'm like, all right, man.
Tatum just turned 19 for the 6th year in a row.
Happy congratulations to fucking Jason Tatum for his 19th birthday. Oh my God. No, I just wanted to say, yeah, I mean, with the Kuminga thing, I've been very adamant. I'm going to grab my screen and shake it right now and say this, but the Warriors obviously just have an amazing player development system, and they just are really good about harboring what people are best at and allowing them to shine in that aspect. And I think with Kuminga, you know, obviously being surrounded by so many great factors that will hopefully make him better. And it's just time. I mean, you know, he's definitely, I think, going to have a really good year this year. They're seeming like they're probably going to start the season firing on all cylinders. It doesn't look like there's any interpersonal player problems at the moment. Hasn't come out that Chris Paul said that Steph Curry is a worse point guard than him or some stupid shit like that. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely coming at a good time, because we know that the Warriors are definitely going to be playing a little bit of a smaller ball this year. And with Kuminga getting a lot better, that just adds one more element to how dangerous their offense is.
I was just going to say, it's weird seeing them last year play like JaMychal Green over Jonathan Kuminga, especially when they weren't necessarily winning at a super high rate. And you could like, I don't know, you can look at that both ways. Like, you're not winning, you play your good guys, but you could also look at it as you're not winning as much, you're struggling. Let's give some younger guys some reps, throw them in there, see if they could change anything. But it was weird seeing him like not play a lot last year, because I feel like this potential has been here. It's just now being tapped. I feel like he could have been good last year too, especially like when they're throwing Moody in the lineup, giving Moody reps and minutes. Like, I don't know. I feel like this is everyone knew this was coming. Like, I don't know why they didn't do it last year, but clearly he's improved.
Quick question for you, because I honestly don't remember this. Did Jordan Poole start his first year with the Warriors?
No.
I would question, or I would ask, even though this is very like high school ball type of vibe, I would think that maybe coaches, obviously, like you said, if you want your best players out there for sure. But I wonder if there's also an element of like, well, hold your horses, kind of, from Steve Kerr and from that coaching staff, of saying like, we know you can be good, but we know that you can be great too, and we're gonna wait on the great. And you know, even though he wasn't, or maybe like last year, like you said, choosing Green over him maybe wasn't the best decision, but it could have been exactly what he needed to become what he hopefully will be this season, if that makes sense.
I would argue that reps get you to the next level, but I see what you're saying. Vic, you were gonna say something. You can go ahead and say what you were gonna say.
No, I was just gonna say I saw in the summer, like early summer this year, that Kuminga was getting in like a lot of gym work, And I don't know who he was training with or whatever, but I'm sure that's probably going to translate to this season. And I think once Kevon Looney comes back from his injury, and I don't know if they're gonna put Chris Paul in with the second lineup or like with the bench lineup, and him and Kuminga I think could get some really good work together.
They've been
Chris Paul, I
starting
do
him in the
believe Chris
preseason,
Paul
right?
will start throughout the entirety of the
I'm
season.
I'm I'm pretty sure in the 2 Warriors games I watched, he started. Don't
I
quote
didn't
me
mean
on
to be
that.
that close.
No, he has been starting, but I don't know if they're doing that right now just because Kevon Looney's hurt.
Oh, okay. That's right. I don't know. Chris Paul with Curry at the 2 looked kind of dangerous. I'm not gonna lie. I know it's
Yeah,
preseason, and I know Chris Paul's 30. What is he 39? No, he's not that old, right? 38 maybe?
I think
I
he's
believe he's
38.
I believe he's 38 or 37.
Yeah.
He's younger than
That's
LeBron.
Yeah, but he's also not the greatest athlete to ever touch the court.
I was just trying to put it into perspective, man.
No, yeah, I mean, but we're all, or that's always going to be the conversation. Yeah, you know how old LeBron is though? Year 20.
actually year 21.
God damn it. I can't keep track of him anymore.
He hasn't got to the LeBron season yet. He doesn't know.
He
Yeah.
doesn't know who LeBron is.
He doesn't know
I'm
who
gonna
LeBron is
text
yet.
you guys. I'm like, who's this kid from Akron? Everyone's talking about right now.
Yeah, you'll text us that in 20 years when you catch up.
Yeah.
Well, another player that I kind of have high expectations for this season too has been Zion. Just can this motherfucker be on the court? Can we actually watch him play basketball? Is like my biggest concern. He hasn't had too crazy stat lines I've seen. The other day, he actually had 16 points in the first quarter, which is pretty good. But one thing I noticed out there is that he does look like he's moving a little bit more fluid and playing a lot less like he has steel-toed boots on. But one thing I also did notice about him is he doesn't really look any slimmer, which was my biggest concern with him. I mean, Zion's weight has been a thing that people have been talking about ever since he got drafted, and it's always going to be talked about. I mean, just having that much weight at his size and his height, like he isn't the tallest guy on the court, not by any means, but he's the heaviest a majority of the time. And that's just not sustainable at all on his knees, his ankles, basically his whole lower half of his body. Like that's going to catch up to him. So watching the games, Zion didn't look too slimmer, still kind of has that pudgy look to him. But like I said, if he increases his flexibility, if he finds out how to move a little bit more fluid, it could possibly work for now. But later in his career, he's gonna have to shed some lbs.
Yeah.
And it only gets harder as you get older too to do that. Like you're not gonna be a young man forever.
People talk about that New Orleans gumbo. So out of pocket.
It is.
the TV host. You guys remember when he got drafted, Zion, and they had that like TV host that looked almost identical to him, but he was
You're
like
talking about
basketball
Booger?
in his- Yeah,
Booger
they were
McFarland.
Zion has been here for, I think they were like 3 weeks, and this is what he looks like now. But no, I wanted to say, to me, the Zion situation reminds me a lot of like the Ben Simmons situation and kind of what we talked
No
about.
more Ben Simmons.
No, I
Every
know. I'm not.
pod-
Trust me. I'm
every
not.
pod Ben Simmons gets in here
That's true.
somehow.
That's true. That's true. But the point I'm trying to make is we could be expecting more. Too much. I don't want to say too much because these players are obviously exceptional, and saying that you're expecting too much from them is an understatement, or whatever. I think that we shouldn't be so quick to be like, oh, Zion's going to be this, Zion's going to be that. He's going to do these great things for the Pelicans. He's going to, I remember when he got drafted, people were saying that he was the second coming of LeBron at some point, and it's just like, I feel like we raise this bar for these players and say, you have to be here. And if you're not here, then you're garbage. And in the case of Zion, I feel like maybe he isn't supposed to be that guy. He's just supposed to be a really great addition to that Pelicans team. And maybe with some other additions and things, that team could be great. But I don't know. I don't get the vibe that Zion will lead that team to a championship. To me, it's going to remind me a lot of like too much pressure, too many questions, too many people talking about it, and he just doesn't ever live up to the potential that he actually is capable of.
Do you think Zion is the best player on that team?
I think I'd probably give it to
I
Bi.
I
Wow.
would probably say CJ has a lot bigger of an like them not having CJ there. I think means a little bit more than not having Zion, just because CJ's a lot better of a playmaker and he's a veteran.
But they were first when Zion played for like half the season.
That
I
is
was
true, yeah, but it was also very early in the season. And like I said, I'd rather have a veteran point guard around with like CJ than if I had to pick for one player to miss, I think they would take a bigger hit with CJ out than they would Zion. Because they still have BI in there to score. Without CJ, they don't really have a playmaker or a veteran.
All good
Yeah.
points, but I would still say Zion for like to answer your question.
I think
healthy.
Zion's the best player. He's definitely the best player, but when we talk like most important, like that veteran, like playmaking role, like CJ needs to be there.
Yeah.
I think it's absurd to think that Zion isn't the most important player on this team. Not to discredit anyone who disagreed, but I mean, they were a playing team. They weren't even in the playoffs without Zion. And I know it was early, but with Zion, that team was one of the best teams in the West. So to slip that far without Zion, I think that proves his importance. But I do agree that without CJ, there isn't a lot of playmaking going on. I wouldn't call Zion a terrible passer, but I also wouldn't call him a great playmaker. So I do agree with that point for sure.
I would just say that like right now, if you were to take away Zion from that squad, I don't think their position and I don't think that their team would change too much in terms of how successful or unsuccessful they'd be. To me, I deem successful as like, you know, not only winning playoff games, but possibly even getting to the big game, which is the championship, and winning it or almost winning it. And I think in that perspective, even with or without Zion, they're not really close to that position.
For sure. So to wrap up this preseason talk, the very last player who has actually been playing very well, member of the Boston Celtics, who I think could actually have a breakout season and really find a role for once, is Peyton Pritchard. He is averaging a little over 20 points. The only thing I see with Peyton Pritchard is like Boston, they don't have an issue with guards or forwards. That's not their major problem right now. I believe if Pritchard can find minutes off the bench, sure, he can be in there and be valuable, but they really need to figure out this big situation. And I think they need to figure it out pretty soon, sooner rather than later. Now, if KP and Horford and I guess Cornette stay healthy throughout the year, I feel like they can get stuff done. But I think Pritchard can. I think a good season is ahead for him.
Was Pritchard the one last year who was asking for a trade? I can't remember who it was on the Celtics.
Yes, he was. But now he's back and they signed him. And now he's good to go. And that's all that matters.
I mean, he's a really solid player, but like I was watching one of the Celtics games the other day, and the starting lineup was Derek White, Drew Holiday, Brown, Tatum, and KP. I'm gonna be honest, that's a damn good starting lineup.
That's crazy,
It looked
right?
like I'm like looking on the court. I'm like looking at them all like playing offense. So I was like, yo, I'm not gonna lie, this lineup is pretty fucking raw.
The way I look
Like
at it is like Al Horford was a really good stretch big for them. And he great shooter, great defense, but like Porzingis is everything and then some. Like Porzingis is so much better version of Al Horford that
And
like
younger.
that dude is your go-to stretch big. And to have a guy like that as like your third option is just crazy, dude. And then Drew
Yeah.
Holiday is a fourth. Just
Yeah.
I'm not trying to
They,
glaze, but it's crazy.
they will not need Drew Holiday to score at all. Like he could take on a pretty big playmaking and defensive role. Shit, maybe even 3-and-D if you want to consider him that. But
It's huge in the playoffs too, because he can't be the second option in the playoffs like Milwaukee tried to make him. He's just
yeah,
not cut out for that.
even in Milwaukee, though, like I don't really know if they were trying to make him a second option in the playoffs. Maybe when Middleton was out, yeah, but when Middleton was there, when they had an actual second option, you saw like a lot of Holiday stats drop. Like even the amount of shots he put up a game, his points obviously took a hit because he just took on a lot more of a playmaking and defensive role. And I'm assuming if Boston has a brain that they will have him do the same thing during the playoffs too, if they make the playoffs.
Take that back.
Hey, it's a possibility.
I hate Bulls fans, man.
The Orlando Magic looking tough.
I think both Tatum and Brown could get hurt and they'd still make the playoffs.
Think you're full of shit.
That might be a hot take, but I think they could be an 8th seed without Tatum and Brown.
Without Tatum and Brown? No.
White, Drew,
man.
Hauser, Horford,
No.
and KP.
Wait, in the
Who's
East?
That's a
gonna
little
be
bit delusional, man.
An 8th
It's,
seed in the East. Okay, let's say just Tatum gets injured. They're going to be a 5th seed.
I could
I
see
don't
that.
disagree.
I could see the
Maybe
Celtics.
maybe 7th.
I could see the Celtics being 8th without Tatum and Jalen. I do.
All right, comment down below. Where do the Celtics seed without Tatum and Brown?
The East is just so weak. I feel like out when you get outside of the top 5, like it just becomes like anyone's game.
Bro.
And even without Tatum and Jalen Brown, that team could still win.
You're tripping.
Honestly, I'm 100% with Miles on this one.
What I'm saying, bro. Like
Yeah.
the East, it's the East.
Okay,
It's the
hold
conference.
on, wait.
That's BS, y'all.
Bro,
You
Okay.
just said Holiday can't be a second option. What's he going to be if Tatum and Brown go down?
I said he can't be a second option in the playoffs. That's
Yeah.
what I said.
Okay. So I'll assume they make the playoffs. What the fuck's going to happen?
I didn't say they were going to go anywhere in the playoffs. I said they would make the playoffs.
You just said
I did not say
Well-
they would win anything in the playoffs. I said they would make the playoffs as an 8th seed.
you were thinking it though.
I
Wait.
was not that. Trust me, I was not thinking that.
Yeah, that's a little
Fucking-
bit of a stretch.
They'd lose to the Orlando Magic in a playoff series, but they can regular season. They can make the playoffs.
I think
Is-
Magic
with-
might have a chance to make playoffs this year.
A lot
I
of people have
agree.
them finishing 8th.
They kind of got
That I see.
like a good young squad.
They actually do, man. They have a lot of talent on that team. Franz, Paulo.
Can we talk about the overtime team that they are with Suggs, Paolo, Cole Anthony?
Yeah.
They did have RJ Hampton for a little bit. It's like the
They did,
all-time
yeah.
overtime squad.
Bro,
No,
I used
literally.
I used to remember watching RJ Hampton and Jalen Suggs highlights in high school.
Oh, Mo Bamba, Bobo, both were there. More
Yep.
overtime athletes.
They had a lot of young talent on that team, man.
They get those hype picks, those jersey sales.
Markel Fultz.
Literally, dude. Like
Like it was a ball is life squad.
it
Baller
literally
visions.
was. It's crazy.
It was.
So with
Word.
Peyton Pritchard, is there not really like a question of his height? Has that not been something that really you guys notice is a problem when he's on the court?
He's definitely a defensive liability at his height, but he is a very strong on ball defender.
Yeah, I
But-
wouldn't say he's a bad defender at all. Like I would actually go as far as saying that he's a pretty solid, serviceable defender, you know.
I think he's a very what's the word? Never mind.
He can
He's a
hold
very
his own.
disciplined. He's a very disciplined defender. That's what I wanted to say.
I think he can hold his own out there
Yeah.
on defense.
I mean, you put him in the post, he's not going to be able to do much, but on the wing, he's a ball hawk. He can pressure the ball.
True. He shouldn't have to ever be in the post. So
Hopefully,
Hard
unless they're
overhyped.
playing like unless they're playing the Knicks and Jalen Brunson does like the post up, but at that point, you know, adjustments can be made. But
he probably
Pritchard-
won't be playing against the Knicks for that exact reason.
No,
Yeah.
Pritchard asked for a switch while they're playing the Spurs, and it's on fucking Wemby.
Dude, if Wemby can hook shot dunk on Thomas Bryant, I can't even imagine. He'd probably put a knee in the face of Pritchard, bro. He's that
He'd
tall.
probably
Like,
step over him.
He
Actually,
could
he'd probably just
he could real
walk
shit
right
jump over
past
him.
him. It's
Probably
like,
could.
have you guys ever seen that video of like someone like I gotta find it, but it's like the two like trash bags go right over his face and they like fucking
dude,
split right.
I put that in a fucking him episode.
Oh yeah,
When
yeah.
someone got dunked on, I put the balls going into his face.
He was like, oh.
So, with all the moves that the Houston Rockets have been making this offseason, they are looking to make another. The Rockets are looking for further trades, and they're looking to acquire Talen Horton-Tucker and Alec Burks from the Utah Jazz. Now, I think this is kind of pointless because I feel like the Rockets are trying to add a bunch of average talent that could take away minutes from their younger stars. Like, we got to remember, they drafted Amen Thompson, who I think can be a very solid wing and NBA guard. They still have Jalen Green, and they also drafted Cam Whitmore, who had a nasty poster the other day, I believe, against the Spurs, if I remember correctly.
He's a highlight reel.
It was a charge. It was a charge, but it shouldn't have been. Because taking a charge in preseason is like taking a charge in a college intramural basketball game.
And getting a concussion.
And getting a concussion, which was also the preseason.
And having to wear glasses for podcasts now.
Miles did do that. That is something Miles did last year.
Now I have to wear blue light glasses permanently. So,
but we did win the game. But I feel like the Rockets already have so many questions around what they're gonna do with like the kind of creative roster that they have in acquiring Dylan Brooks, Fred VanVleet, and basically what kind of role these younger guys are gonna play this year. But then adding a guy like Talen Horton-Tucker and Alec Burks, I feel like is just kind of obsolete. But one thing I will say, I did not realize how young Talen Horton-Tucker was. Dude's only a year older than us.
Yeah, dude.
I was gonna say I don't really mind the THT because he fits their timeline a little bit.
Yeah, but for some reason, Talen Horton-Tucker has like that reputation of people just think he's gonna be fucking sick.
It's the Lakers. It's the Lakers effect.
Of course. See, but I just like with all the pieces that they have, Talen Horton-Tucker, it just isn't needed. I feel like they should go after maybe a big if they try to acquire.
Yeah, that's
anything
true.
else. Because our starting center right now is Sengun, right?
Yeah.
Sengun is very solid. He has a lot of talent. He's a very talented big man, but they need to invest in a big man that can come off the bench and be able to rebound and stick D, to be honest.
Yeah, because
like a Mitchell Robinson type.
Because right now their backup is Jock Landale.
Exactly.
He's not terrible.
He's not, but
he's definitely not what they need. He's not what they need, for sure.
Yeah. It's not what anybody needs. No one needs Jock Landale. But yeah, I feel like kind of just adding THT and Alec Burks, it kind of just wouldn't be good for so much of these younger guys. Like I really want to see what Amen can do. I've never really seen him play like that. I've seen like his highlights in the G League, but that's a completely different game to what he's about to step into.
Yeah, that's why I would actually prefer THT or like Alec Burks over Fred VanVleet, dude. Fred VanVleet was like, I know he's on the table. I know they have money to spend, but like, dude, he plays the same position as the #1 draft pick. Like, I don't know. I guess they move Amen to the 2, assuming he starts, which I think he will. Is that like the route? Do you think that's the route they'll go?
Right now, if projected. I was gonna say right now the projected starters are VanVleet, Jalen Green, Brooks, Jabari Smith, and Sengun.
I was gonna say I don't see Amen starting this year because Jalen Green is absolutely gonna be in that starting lineup. Like if they had Amen at the 2 and VanVleet at the 1 and just kick Jalen Green out, I feel like that would stir some controversy. They're definitely gonna have Jalen Green in there. But we have Amen and Cam Whitmore off the bench.
I was thinking, why wouldn't they start Fred 1, Amen 2? I just realized I said #1 draft pick as well. He was the #4th draft pick. So correction there, but why would they not start Fred, Amon, Green, Jabari, and Sengun? Who was the other starter for the reason
Brooks,
why Amon wasn't there? Dylan
Dylan Brooks.
Brooks, dude.
Dylan
They
Brooks.
paid them. They're gonna have to
They
play
did
him.
pay him.
Yeah, they paid him about $80 to $90 million, and he did play pretty good this year in FIBA, so that definitely helps his case out a little bit more. And
Damn, man.
Amon's still incredibly young, so I feel like him coming off the bench could be good for them. Could be good for him. But yeah, like the Rockets are such an enigma to me, and they have been ever since they started like making these trades. Because that projected starting lineup doesn't sound bad, but it could be something completely different. They could say, all right, screw Jalen Green, you're going to the bench, and we're going to start these veterans. I definitely don't think that's going to be the case, but I'm really curious on how they're going to utilize Amen Thompson and Cam Whitmore this year with the amount of guards that they have already. They did get rid of KPJ. That's been decided.
We will not elaborate.
They got Oladipo.
Yeah,
Really?
that's who they traded him for. Yep.
Yeah, they got Oladipo, and I forgot who else. Was it
So
Aaron Holiday?
So
I'm not
KPJ's
too
on
positive.
the Heat. I'm sorry, I didn't see this trade. I didn't know this
KPJ
happened.
got traded to the Thunder, and then the Thunder automatically
Okay.
waived him.
So
he's a free
it's
agent
cap
right now.
dump. Got it.
Yeah, pretty much.
I think that's probably the biggest reason for why the Houston Rockets have been kind of making some moves recently. I to me, it just kind of, because we had said even before the summer that, or no, not before the summer, but we had said fairly recently that the Houston Rockets were in a really decent place with a strong coach and a lot of fresh new talent. It yielded well for the season. And even though maybe some would argue that Porter Jr. wasn't, the glue that held that team together, I do think that probably made them think that they had to add more to fill out the team, if that makes sense. Which in reality, I don't think that they did, or that they really needed to, or that they did. But I can kind of understand why they're doing this now. I think if they had still had Kevin Porter Jr., they would not be in the same kind of chips all on the table, like we need more players kind of thing. That's not what they're doing, but I think you guys get where I'm coming from.
I think ironically, Kevin Porter Jr.'s situation was a get out of jail free card, despite Kevin Porter Jr. ironically probably going to end up in jail, but they were looking to move past him anyway because he isn't really a true point guard. He's more of a score first guard, and he isn't the best playmaker. And clearly they didn't want him in the future picture, but I guess I'll just add that they were looking to get rid of him already. So that worked out for them.
Yeah, and I think they need it too, because just like looking at their team, like with Amen, Cam Whitmore, Fred VanVleet, Jalen Green, I just don't know how you're gonna be able to play all those guys if you had Kevin Porter Jr. there too.
Yeah.
I'm surprised they got anything for him. But like you guys said,
Well,
it's just
they
a
added
cap
draft
dump.
picks. They added draft picks with him so that they could get something in return.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter for the next 8 years. The Thunder have all the picks.
Yeah, the picks went to the Thunder. You just pile them up.
Yeah,
That's
actually
true.
absurd.
Them and the Brooklyn Nets.
Yeah, true.
The Nets do have a lot of picks.
Doesn't
What were you gonna
Chicago
say?
have like nothing?
They didn't
Like,
have
they
a
don't have
draft pick
shit for
this year.
Yeah, like I feel like they've been like, for some reason, for the last few years they like never have a good draft pick, and it's probably because they fucking picked up, I don't know, Lopez. I don't know.
What's that got to do with a draft pick?
I'm saying like they probably traded away draft picks for fucking.
They traded away this year's draft pick for Vucevic a few years ago. If it fell inside the top 5, it went to, I can't remember who. I believe it was Houston, but it did, and they lost that pick. So
I think this would have been a good draft to have those picks too.
yeah,
What's
It
the
would
rookie's name again? Chicago, the young guy didn't play
Io?
a lot last year. No, not
Dalen
Io.
Terry.
Dalen Terry. That's what I'm
Okay.
thinking of.
Yeah.
What do you, as Bulls fans, just quickly, what do you guys think of Dalen Terry? Do we think he's going anywhere?
I mean, I haven't really seen him play a whole lot. He's a pretty big guard. They kind of drafted him as like insurance because they knew Lonzo Ball wasn't going to play at all last year. So that's why they drafted a guard. A lot of people were confused by that, but then people kind of started connecting the dots because we were under the assumption that Lonzo was going to play. But then about a week or two after they drafted Dalen Terry, the reports came out that Lonzo wasn't going to play. So he was kind of like that insurance guard for them. Barely ever stepped on the court. He played very well in the G League when they sent him down to the Windy City Bulls. He can defend. He's a solid playmaker. I've never really seen what he can do offensively. I've seen him play a few times in college. So honestly, I don't really know like what his full potential is for the Bulls or just his career in general.
After seeing Campaign's comeback, I believe in him. Campaign really changed my perspective on young players basically being out of the league. I never doubt him anymore after seeing his turnaround. That's what he
Not,
reminds me of as a Bulls guard too.
not definitely not. I mean, it was just his rookie season. Like he has nothing but time. So I'm hoping that they can get him some reps in during the season. I feel like he could add some value. It's going to be a little bit more difficult though now that they have Javon Carter and Torrey Craig there though. So we'll just see how
I,
that development takes place over time.
I thought Javon Carter didn't resign. Oh, I'm sorry.
No.
I'm mixing him up with Javonte Green. I apologize. Yeah, Javon Carter is there. So what's the verdict? Before we move on, I guess we'll add this. Raise your hand if you feel like THT and Alec Burks would help the Rockets.
Bro, okay, this is my opinion on it. I just don't think adding THT to that team would like he just has a lot of Lakers hype was what like Kevin said. And if you look at what he did last year, he was playing a lot of minutes with the Jazz and he didn't really do too much, to be honest with you.
I think also there's just too many question marks around Houston as a team already and what they're going to be able to do with this squad that they've put together. So adding new players is kind of just like it may work out, but that's kind of the same attitude that I feel like I've had towards the Houston Rockets for the last few weeks and month.
What do you like about him?
The Houston Rockets?
No, I'm talking about Miles. What is he like about THT and Alec Burks? Because I don't really see how it could benefit them, to be honest with you.
I'll make it quick because I know we want to move on. But initially, I heard that and I didn't think much of it. But after just sitting here and like kind of pondering it for a little bit, I mean, I do think they could get better veterans than like Alec Burks. And I guess Alec Burks is considered a veteran, even though he's 32 on this team. But I mean, he is like I guess he's a solid, sustainable player. But I do like THT because like, yeah, he has a lot of Lakers hype, but like he's so young, and obviously we've seen his scoring potential. And he's a defense first coach, so I think he can get THT in the right mindset to play defense. I don't see why you guys don't think THT would be like at least considerably decent, you know? I think he fits the timeline. He's as old as everyone else. He has as much potential as everyone else.
Just the younger players that they have, I rather keep and try to develop rather than Taylor Horton Tucker. Like
Who
I
were
believe
they?
Amen Thompson, Jalen Green, and Cam Whitmore, I believe all of them will be better than Taylor Horton Tucker in the future.
Who were they going to trade any of them to get THT?
It didn't give any further specifics like that. I'm assuming that they're probably just gonna give up draft capital and maybe someone else off the bench. But like I'm saying, like that's another thing why, like, what are they gonna have to give up to get Taylor Horton Tucker?
Yeah, that's a
If
good
it's
point.
if it's one of the young pieces, don't do it.
Yeah, in the event they're giving up a young piece, definitely don't do it.
Which is
Um,
probably what would happen though, because Utah's obviously gonna want something in return.
yeah, especially with Danny Ainge in the front office, for sure. They're going to try to fleece
Very
him.
true. So now we're going to speak a little bit further about the future of the Golden State Warriors. We stated in the last episode that the average age of the starting lineup is 33 years old, and no team has ever won a championship with the average age starting lineup being 33 years old. But according to Woj, no progress has been made in Golden State to extend Klay Thompson further in the future. And next season, he will be a free agent. So my biggest thing that I kind of want to discuss is this the end after this year of the Warriors' big three. When a couple years ago, when this has always been a topic of discussion too, about like who would be the first to leave out of Draymond, Curry, and Klay. I feel like this is just something that's always been talked about. I always felt like that they would move on from Draymond first before they do Klay Thompson. But at the current state that all of these guys are in right now, I would almost assume that they would probably move on from Klay Thompson before they move on from Draymond Green, because they could, I hate to say replace Klay Thompson, because that's just like, Klay Thompson's a great player. I don't think that they'd be able to do that. But I feel like they would have a lot easier job replacing Klay Thompson than they would Draymond Green and what he does for that team as a whole. Now, Warriors fans thought they had that replacement about a season or two ago. I think we all did with Jordan Poole. But we know how that went. He's obviously a member of the Washington Wizards now. But it's kind of just interesting to see, like, Klay Thompson in another jersey. I mean, he's been in Golden State his entire career. That's all we've ever known him. It's kind of just be weird seeing him in a different jersey. And it's just kind of weird to see the Warriors move on from him. I mean, he's won 4 championships with this team. It would definitely cause some shake around the league if they chose not to re-sign him and have him test the waters in free agency.
Where do you think is probably the most likely spot he'll end up?
Shit. Probably Miami. I don't see why not. If they're looking for another star to add, why not add Klay Thompson if they weren't able to get anybody else in the offseason? Shit. Milwaukee, why not? Memphis, why not?
For some
Milwaukee
reason,
wouldn't be bad.
I have a soft spot for like Sacktown. He might get. I was thinking the Kings for some reason. I know they have Herter,
Sacktown would be nice.
but they might
They
give
do.
up Herter for Klay.
That's what I'm
Oh,
saying.
he's gonna
But
be a free agent.
he's going to be a free agent. But that's why I wanted
Okay.
to bring up too. If they do plan to move on from Klay Thompson, I would definitely suggest they trade him rather than just letting him walk, because you could get something for Klay Thompson, 100%. Even now.
I don't think it's really a question. I don't think it's really, maybe it is. Maybe it is a conversation that's being had in the GM's office and in the Warriors staff of whether or not they should move away from Klay Thompson. But right now, at least, I don't think it's at all even kind of in the conversation. I think what's more likely is that as a staff, they want to know how well Chris Paul is going to work out. I would assume that signing Chris Paul has put them in a position where they feel that they may be limited in how much they could offer Klay. And just with like the addition of more players too, like kind of who knows where this is going to go this season. So I think that the biggest question to them is like, how much money do we need to set aside for Klay? And if at the end of this season, they realize, oh, like that did not go well. Chris Paul we did not play as a good system. I think they'll move on from other guys and then just confirm that they're going to sign Klay Thompson, because I think he's such a big reason for why that team is able to play so well offensively. Even though it may not seem like it, we talk a lot about how stats don't show and how you have to actually be watching games to see the impact of a player. And I think the same thing can be said about Klay. He's such a lethal part of that offense, and it's just one more defender for him to pull that leaves other guys open. Or in some cases, he could drop 50 moving on what seems like 1 foot. So, it just really depends on kind of the way that the game is going. But I don't think that the Warriors are in any position or having any kind of conversations of actually wanting to move away from Klay. I think this is just kind of, we see it happen in football. We see it happen in other sports. You want to see how this season goes. If this season is a complete mishap, and if it sucks for the Warriors, then the conversation may need to be had of, do we move on from Klay Thompson? But I don't think that that's at all. The intention is not, we're thinking about moving away from Klay Thompson. It's like, no, we we're sticking with our guns, but we need to see how this season plays out in a way. And also, I think that if Klay did leave, him and Seth Curry would be the two like most comparable players. Huh?
Steph.
No, I meant Seth. Seth. I feel like they're comparable. Klay Thompson is way better, obviously, but they both provide you with very similar styles of ball. That's at least how I look at it.
On one side of the floor.
Yeah, absolutely.
Klay Thompson is 10 times the defender that Seth Curry is.
Yeah,
even lacking the step he used to have.
Yeah, true. Klay Thompson is 10 times the shooter Seth Curry is too.
But
I would say.
But moving forward from this year to next year, and depending on how this year goes, I could see him having the same level of trade value as someone like Seth Curry. Maybe not dollar wise, but like if you're looking for a 2 shooter that I don't know. I just think I just think that
cook.
the 2 play if you're looking for a 2, I think that if you're looking at for a 2 that can shoot, that doesn't really need to be the number one guy on a team and doesn't need to be super impactful, I think that those 2 guys are people that pop up on your search list. You'd filter exactly what you want and it'd pop up Seth Curry and Klay Thompson. This isn't a post-apocalyptic universe where the Warriors just fucking this year and didn't work out.
Let him cook.
Hey, boy, that I wouldn't call that cooking.
Post-apocalyptic universe.
I wouldn't.
Let him cook.
You know who you were cooking like right there? You were cooking like Ken Bazemore. Trash.
Yo, chill.
Kevin doesn't know how to cook.
I just mean no, I'm just saying.
All right, I want to disagree with you a little bit, Daniel. I think a little bit of the Warriors organization, I think they're like the fire alarms are kind of going off. They're realizing that this trio of Curry, Klay Thompson, and Draymond is starting to get older. They realize that, and I think they want to start a future. And I think they're still hungry. They want to start building that next legacy and trying to get those young guys involved. I think that pretty soon we'll see Klay Thompson not be on the Warriors. I don't think they're gonna re-sign him this year.
I'll give my take now. I'll be the first one to say that Klay Thompson is not leaving the Warriors. Klay Thompson, I believe, is going to retire with the Warriors. I think Draymond has a bigger chance of leaving, but I think part of the reason they traded Jordan Poole was to free up space for Klay Thompson. And I know everyone talks about that this Warriors team is aging, they're getting older. Obviously, they're not what they used to be, but that's also what they said 2 years ago when they won the championship. So I think that I truly think that you can't count them out. They're always a contender, especially this year with Moody and Kuminga finally like blossoming a little bit. But I think I truly think that they'll make it happen. Klay will. I know Klay thinks he's a max player, but an interesting thing I saw was Klay wants that contract, that thank you contract, basically the contract that you give players when you're old and you want to thank them for everything they've done for the franchise. You want to pay them before they inevitably get older and kind of fizzle out. But the thing is they already gave him that contract. I think this is where a lot of the problems come in, is they gave him that contract after he tore his ACL and his Achilles. They gave him that big contract, and I think it's selfish of him to ask for it again because they already gave him the thank you contract. Imagine they gave him so much money for a player they had no idea if he was honestly going to come back and be the same player, and he wasn't. The start of that season last year definitely was not the same player, but he got better towards the end for sure. But I truly think it was selfish of him to think that he's still a max player because he's not. But I do believe he'll come to his senses and they'll figure it out, and he's going to stay in Golden State at the end of the day. That's my personal take. That's my gut feeling. I guess I didn't really provide a lot of reasons why, but that's the gut feeling is he's going to retire a Warrior. I don't
I
think they'll
can
let him
see
walk.
I can see both situations, but like you said, if they don't give him what he wants for money wise, I think they're just gonna move on from him. They're not gonna try to keep him happy, you know?
Do
I,
we
I think
think do we think Klay values the money or his tenure as a Warrior more? Because I personally think he values being a Warrior more than the money at this point.
I think so too.
I would agree.
I
Dude's
mean,
gotten
money.
paid, like you said. He's gotten his big contract. Like he has 4 championships. I feel like his heart's in Golden State.
Yeah. Like money's obviously a factor, but I think like I agree with everything that you said, other than maybe that he would retire as a Warrior. Just because with him and Curry's type of game, I think is probably very sustainable over a long period of time. And so I think he probably could keep on doing this until he's, who knows, 37, 38. And if that's the case, then I can't really see him that long into the future playing with the Warriors still. I feel like you said, they'll want to move on. Or I don't remember who said it, but they'll want to move on and build another legacy around other players. So I don't think he would retire there, but I do agree with he values being a Warrior more than anything else, I think.
I'm just gonna I picture, we see that picture of Hakeem Olajuwon in the Toronto Raptors jersey. That's what I feel about Draymond, bro. I feel like we're gonna see him in like an Orlando Magic jersey as last year. I feel like he's gonna be the one that they get rid of for like the last couple years of his career. But I think they keep Klay around as like a vet.
Draymond, he'll be like that, like very old veteran on like a young team.
Yeah, some
Like,
shit like that, or like
Like
Tony
over,
Parker in Charlotte, like something like
yeah,
that.
like exactly like that.
It's
Like
just like some
Orlando
weird
Magic is
shit.
like, or like Detroit. Detroit or Orlando is definitely where Draymond would end up. Send them to hell.
He he's going wherever LeBron's going for a minimum contract. He will
oh,
take.
Draymond? Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
So basically,
Shit,
wherever Bronny goes, Draymond's going to.
shit, dude. I don't
Coach.
even think you can. I don't even think you have to pay him. He'll go there for free.
Real
Bro,
shit.
my favorite picture on the internet is LeBron and Draymond Green like on the dance floor. And LeBron has like a drink in his hand, and Draymond is right behind him, sweaty as fuck with the whole bottle,
Yeah.
ready to refill his drink.
Yeah.
The dick eating is nuts on
Dude,
what this guy does to LeBron, bro.
the clip of them dapping up during a game, bro, like during regulation
Crazy,
time
bro.
was dude, you know what I'm talking about? That clip?
Yeah, I've seen it.
Bro, that shit is like so cringe. Like, that's crazy. And Draymond went up to LeBron, who was playing, literally playing in the game, dapped him up from the bench. Like, dude, that's just fucking corny, bro.
That is pretty corny. I was gonna say I'm all for like friendships and sports and stuff like that. I think that's pretty cool, but no, you can't get up off the bench.
Bro, I know. It's crazy.
It's,
Or
it's
when
just
he,
wild.
or when he was gonna like skip a Warriors game to watch LeBron beat the record.
I
I
never
can't
heard
wait
about that,
till
but that's
Really?
crazy.
you didn't know about
Steve,
that, Miles.
yeah, Steve Kerr
He,
told him no.
he said it.
Good,
He said it
bro.
on his own pod. He said it on his own podcast.
No, but I really want to I want to hear the undisputed like interview with Steve Kerr about how that conversation went. Because I think they were like it wasn't like playoffs or anything, but it was an important game. I don't think they were like doing too hot during the regular season, and they needed those wins. And he was like,
Yeah.
he's like, can I go to my friend's basketball game, please? My mom can take me.
Draymond definitely tries not to choke on it, bro. That's crazy.
It's real shit what it was.
If you've made it far enough in this pod to see this clip, go down below and comment Kevin's drip. 2 words, Kevin's drip, in order to be entered into a $10 gift card giveaway. The winner will be announced next episode. Keep this on the DL for people who see this clip.
So to close off today's episode, we're going to talk about the Milwaukee Bucks, specifically the duo of Damian Lillard and Giannis. So over the years, we've seen a lot of promising duos straight up flop. A lot of people would consider Kawhi and PG a flop, or Kyrie and KD a flop. Is this a possibility for this duo to be a flop because of how poorly that they match up against other Eastern Conference teams? Something that people also don't talk about either is that Damian Lillard has a little bit of an history with injuries too. And if Dame goes down, the Bucks are they're fucked. Like plain and simple. Like they won't be able to win a playoff series deep into the playoffs, Eastern Conference finals, whatever the case, without him or Giannis. And also just, is it going to be able to work? I saw a clip the other day. Giannis said he's never been more open with Damian Lillard on his team and on the floor. I feel like that's kind of just, I mean, y'all played 2 games together in the preseason, probably only played the first half. So I feel like that's kind of bullshit or just whatever. But I think it's a very big possibility that this duo could flop. I mean, I expect that with every new duo, like every new duo that gets formed, you kind of have to. You can't just assume that they're gonna accomplish this, that, and a fifth. Like you can't. There's always that very shitty possibility that it could flop. But why I think it could be a flop again is because what I said earlier is just how poorly that they actually match up against other Eastern Conference teams. They don't match up very well with the Celtics. They don't match up very well with Cleveland either. They have no perimeter defenders out there to guard Donovan Mitchell or Darius Garland. They're pretty decent with bigs, but so is Milwaukee, so I feel like they'll be able to hold it down there. But Mobley, I think, has great potential. Could possibly a top 10 power forward ever. You heard that here first. As well as Jared Allen, who is a great rim protector and rebounder. I kind of want to know what you guys think about what this Milwaukee Bucks team can actually do, and if it's a possibility that they end up as a 3rd or 4th seed in the East, because everyone pretty much either has them 1, if not 2, at the very least 2.
I'll be the first to say just quickly, I think that I personally think that Milwaukee doesn't match up bad with other teams. I think other teams match up bad with Milwaukee. I think that saying Damian Lillard and Giannis don't match up is backwards, because I think if teams don't match up well, I think that Dame and Giannis would be the team in favor, because that's 2 30-point per game scorers, and I think that's something we've never seen before. I don't believe there's been another team that's had 2 30-point per game scorers. So I kind of just want to flip that narrative first, but I'd like to hear what you guys think.
Yeah, I mean, I think the only team that I can see them not really matching up with is the Celtics, because I don't think anybody in the NBA can match up well as with the Celtics, as their lineup is just so interchangeable.
When it comes to like Milwaukee and whether or not I think they're gonna flop, I don't really think that that's in the cards for them, other than just injuries, like you said. Aside from injuries, leaving those off the table, I think that this team will play really well together. I think that it's a very good sign. Not even a good sign. I think it's very like symbolic in a way of how long Dame spent kind of in this cage of knowing that he could be on a better team and knowing that he could be more successful in the grand scheme of a season, but he hasn't had that opportunity yet. And I think that going into this team, they have everything that really going for them. In terms of like offense, they are such a lethal 2 punch. And then on defense, obviously you have Giannis down low, and Dame's not half a bad defender himself. So I think that in the aspect of just ball, they're fine. Even when I consider possibly things outside of just on the court ball, not even on the court ball, but when I consider the external factors of this, I still see them, even if they had, player problems on the team, they would still be able to win. They don't give me the impression that, they would get into like a bitchy hiss fight and then leave each other or get mad at one another. I think that they would have a very similar relationship, almost to kind of what, Shaq and Kobe had, in a way, where it's like we may not love each other, but we have a job to do on the court. And that's kind of the same style of play that I think that they'll be doing this year.
I also want to say that I think the Bucks, they're not as interchangeable as the Celtics, but I think the Bucks are in themselves interchangeable. On the defensive end, you have Jay Crowder, who's a very versatile defender, a very solid defender. Even though he is getting up there in age, he's still a veteran defender. He's a guy that you can rely on to play defense. And I do personally believe that Malik Beasley is going to have a breakout season defensively, because that is a guy who's still trying to find his role in the NBA. And I know that Griffin, their new coach, is pushing him hard to be a good defender and to keep him in. He's basically told him, this is what they said on the preseason game, but they told Beasley that in order for him to remain in the rotation this year, he's going to have to play defense. And I don't count him out as a bad defender. Extremely athletic. I'm just watching the preseason games, small sample size, but he's got great hands, great agility. Obviously, Brook Lopez can't defend on the perimeter, but that's second in defensive player of the year voting last year. We have yet to see if he's going to take a fall off this year because he is getting up there in age. But I mean, on top of that, you got Bobby Portis, and Bobby Portis is definitely not a bad defender. And that's a guy I could see. I don't know if he would give Porzingis huge problems, but he could definitely mess with Porzingis's mentality. He could be in there. He could cause problems for him. But I think this team is interchangeable. I think this team, I would honestly argue that this team kind of does match up well against some Eastern Conference teams, especially if we see Beauchamp. Is that how you say it, Beauchamp? Marion Beauchamp. You guys know what I'm talking about. If we see Beauchamp have the breakout season that everyone is anticipating, I think he's going to be a great defender and option too. So,
I mean, one thing that I'm kind of concerned about too, though, is like on the offensive end. I feel like Dame is going to have to be a lot more efficient of a shooter and a scorer than he has ever been in his career. Obviously, in the years in Portland, he was the guy. He could put up as many shots as he wanted to in the game. Here in Milwaukee, he's second to Giannis. It's still Giannis's team. He's the best player in the NBA. If Giannis wants to put up a good amount of points a game, 30 points per game, which he will this season, he's going to have to put up minimum 15 shots. Minimum 15 shots, because his free throw shooting is very streaky. I would even say it's not very good, but he'll have those games where he'll either go 0 for 10 or 10 for 10. It's very fucking backwards.
that's true.
But with all those shots that Giannis is taking in the paint, on fast breaks and stuff, that's a lot less shots for Dame. And Dame is gonna have to become a lot more efficient of a scorer, which I think he's absolutely very capable of. I do not think that the Milwaukee Bucks are going to have problems this season. I think they will definitely finish top 2 in the East and compete at a very high level against the Celtics in the Eastern Conference Finals. But I just thought like this was something that I feel like should be discussed and talked about, because yeah, they do match up pretty well against the Celtics down low, but they do not have anybody to guard Jaylen Brown, Tatum, or even Drew Holiday at this point. Shit, even Derek White, bro. Like, they do not have those, like, well as perimeter. And don't say Middleton.
I feel like he's not that terrible of a defender.
He's not that terrible, but, like, is he going to, like, hold his own against Brown or Tatum?
I mean, he's just got to make Brown go left. And
Bro, if I hear one of y'all fuckers say that shit one more time, I'm going to lose my mind.
Okay,
bro.
listen. I was going to stop making that joke, but I saw a video of Jaylen Brown in the Celtics facility. He's dribbling ball with his right hand, looks good. He switches it to his left, and he would do the thing like the ball goes a little bit too high. He can't dribble with his left hand, bro. Like, this isn't bullshit.
He doesn't need to. Real. He played one bad game with the left hand. He doesn't need to. He averages 27. It doesn't matter.
But he's about to have a fall off season. He just got paid. That's how it goes. You know that.
When you say though that like he can't dribble with his left hand, I know that this has been a long time, and I've seen him play with his left hand, and it does look like he lacks.
It's so much slower than his right hand. So much slower.
But is it okay? So it's like, oh no, I can't bring that up. But okay, is it how bad is it exactly? Like, is it as bad as that video?
When an
It's
NBA
not
guard
that
is
bad.
dribbling, no. Listen, when an NBA guard is dribbling the ball should never come up here on accident because you can't fucking dribble.
That's
That
what I'm
should not
saying.
happen.
That's what I'm saying. Like, if it's that bad, that's insane. That's like
It's
really bad.
Bro, it's
How many
not
tur-
that bad. This has
how
to be
many
the worst narrative in the entire
how,
NBA.
how many turnovers did he have? Game 7 against Miami.
He had 8, but not all of those are left-hand dribble turnovers. Some
hey,
of those
I'm
were
A
not-
lot of
passes.
them were.
They were. There was a
You-
stat on his left-hand dribbles, man. It was, and the amount of
Bro.
turnovers caused.
Put that stat on any other player. Put that stat on Tyler Hero. It's the same shit. I
No, it's not.
guarantee you it's the same shit.
No, it's not
Who
because
the
this is the
fuck tracks
highest.
a stat of only
no, listen.
left-hand dribbles? Who fucking
no.
does that? Do
People
that
who
with
are
any
bored.
player.
Because listen, any NBA player should be able to dribble with 2 hands, especially the highest paid player in the history of the fucking sport.
Bro, he is literally second team All NBA. If it was truly a problem,
If you don't think
we
about it too
wouldn't
much.
know who Jaylen Brown was. He wouldn't be like, dude, this guy can do so many other things. He had one bad game. One bad game. He's not even the best player on the Celtics. No one blamed Tatum. Everyone blamed Jaylen Brown, though.
I blame Tatum.
Okay. Well, Tatum got hurt game 7. How am I going to blame him for that? And he was still out there playing.
What
hobbling
about the
and
rest
shit.
of the playoffs? What about the rest
This-
of the playoffs?
Yeah.
He was
The
dog
Celtics said
shit.
The Celtics says the team struggled. Atlanta took him to 6 games.
But that's not Jaylen Brown dribbling fault. That's not his fault. Like that's
I
not
didn't s-
that's not because Jaylen Brown can't dribble.
I didn't say that, but that shouldn't be a problem for them. The fact that that is a problem is fucking bad.
It was a problem for one game. Everyone has bad games.
The most important game.
Yeah, but they shouldn't have even been in that situation to begin with.
But they were.
It's like, dude, like if
Shoulda
Tatum
this, shoulda
if
that,
Tatum
they
just
were, bro.
played good the rest of the series, that series would have been over in 5. But if
I-
you can't rely on your star player, it's more Tatum's. That series loss is more Tatum's fault for the entire shitty performance he put on in that series compared to Jaylen Brown's one bad game.
Yeah, he was streaky, man.
I don't know.
I'm so fucking tired of hearing this narrative. It's a meme, bro. It's not actually a problem. It's not
Facts.
actually a problem.
It is a problem.
It is a meme.
I agree with you that there wasn't enough like of a microscope around Tatum for that situation, because I even said like Tatum could have definitely done something to win them that playoff series, but I think it's also it is pretty bad. If there is any truth or validity to this statement, that's pretty bad. I mean, like Kevin said, if you're the highest paid player, you should be able to handle dribbling the ball with your left hand successfully, I should say.
It's just like, bro, everyone films him in pickup games, and as soon as he stutters with the left, they post it. But every
That's
player
worse,
does
though.
that. Every
That's
player
worse,
does
though.
that. But not
If-
every player has a camera on them every time they dribble in a pickup game.
No,
Like,
but
bro,
you would
it's
think
crazy.
like in a pickup game, there's no fucking it's in, like, not game environment type shit. Like you would think he'd still be able to handle his left hand. If it's game situation, that's different. A lot of different moving factors.
I feel like I'm just fighting a losing
loses the
battle.
ball
I feel like
left
you guys are just stone cold, and Jaylen Brown can't dribble with this left.
Because it's embarrassing.
Maybe
It
he can't
truthfully
dribble
is.
with his right either.
We'll see. We'll see this season.
He can't shoot with it.
He can't shoot. Did you just tell me Jaylen Brown can't shoot with his left hand?
With his right hand.
Okay.
He has a very big free throw shooting problem too. Like, bro actually misses hella free throws. And
What
you
was-
know I'm right.
No,
What
that's
was the
true.
last
He does
topic?
miss a lot of free throws.
What?
What was the last topic?
If the Bucks do a
Oh
lick
yeah,
fuck
yeah.
up.
Okay. I was like, I was like, damn, we got off track.
You
For
can't
the
talk
better.
about the Bucks without talking about the Celtics too, and vice versa.
That's a good. No, yeah, for sure.
All right.
True.
So because I was thinking about this too, is like I think the duo is going to be good just because they're going to be an NBA 75. They're both NBA 75 players, Dame and Giannis. And when they're playing in the regular season, shit, even playoffs, and we start seeing double teams, I think that like if they start double teaming Giannis, they could probably kick it out to Damian Lillard and he might be open for a shot, or vice versa for Giannis. So who do you guys think they would double team first?
Giannis.
Giannis, 100%. He's a lot more dominant.
But that opens the defending team. That leaves them open to some from Damian Lillard if he plays to the level that we've seen him play before.
I just think the intangibles of Giannis are much more worthy of a double team than Lillard.
Yeah. I would agree.
I think if you put Jared Vanderbilt on Damian Lillard, I think you would be okay. I think you would be okay.
I was just gonna say something kind of like to that effect. Like Giannis has to be having a terrible day for him not to score points on like two guys, but Damian Lillard has to have like a phenomenal game in order for him to be able to score on two guys. That's kind of.
I just think like Giannis being 7 feet is just one guy like physically can't handle him.
Yeah,
it's nothing with skill. It's all physical attribute.
The Greek freak.
Domination.
I saw you were wearing that. I prefer the blonde Rodman hoodie. You don't listen to Frank like that, Vic.
I don't. But you can't lie, that hoodie's tough.
That hoodie is tough. It'd be tougher if you listen to Frank, though. That's off topic.
I know one song.
What song?
Nights.
I was gonna fucking say that too.
Too many nights. Too many nights.
Bye.
All right. So that wraps up this week's episode of Good Morning Let's Basketball. We appreciate you guys tuning in and showing all the love and support. Make sure you guys follow us on all of our socials: Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Spotify, Apple at Good Morning Let's Basketball. And be sure to leave a review if you are listening on Spotify and Apple Music. And don't forget to comment down below Kevin's drip for your chance to win a $10 gift card. That is a wrap on season 1, and we will see y'all next week at the start of season 2.